Marcus had worked the graveyard shift at the Route 9 gas station for almost 2 years, and in that time he developed a set of rules he never broke. Rule 1. Never look directly at the security monitor after 2 a.m. Rule 2. Always keep the bathroom key on the counter. Never let it out of reach. Rule 3. If a customer's car is running but nobody gets out, don't go check on them. Wait. He hadn't made these rules up himself. His predecessor, a quiet man named Dale who'd worked the station for 11 years before quitting without notice, had written them on an index card and left it taped inside the register drawer. Marcus had laughed the first time he read it. By his 3rd month, he wasn't laughing anymore. The station sat at the edge of a stretch of highway that ran through 15 miles of nothing. No houses, no side roads, just pine trees and the occasional deer carcass on the shoulder. The nearest town, Hollis Creek, was a gas and diner blip that most people drove through without noticing. Marcus took the job because it paid $2 more an hour than anywhere else hiring, and because he needed the quiet to finish his online degree between customers. The trouble started on a Tuesday in October, the kind of night where the fog came up off the tree lines so thick it looked like the road itself was breathing. Around 1:40 a.m., a car pulled up to Pump 4, an old brown sedan, the kind with a vinyl roof that had gone soft and split at the seams. The engine kept running. Nobody got out. Marcus watched it for a while, the dashboard light of his register throwing a pale glow across the counter. Rule 3. Wait. 10 minutes passed. The car sat there, headlights cutting twin cones into the fog, exhaust curling up behind it. Marcus busied himself restocking cigarettes, glancing up every so often, trying to look casual about it, trying to convince himself he wasn't scared of an empty parking lot. At 2:03 a.m., the car's headlights switched off. He hadn't seen anyone reach in to do it. He hadn't seen the door open at all. Marcus picked up the phone and dialed the station's emergency line, the one Dale had insisted he memorize before the handoff, no explanation given beyond, "You'll want it eventually." A woman's voice answered on the second ring, calm, almost bored, like she'd taken this exact call 100 times. "Pump 4?" she asked, before he'd said anything. "Yeah. How did you?" "Don't go out there. Lock the front door, kill the Pump 4 line from the register, and don't look at it again until it's gone. It'll be gone by sunrise. It always is." "What is it?" There was a pause, longer than Marcus liked. "Best guess. From what the last few guys told us. Something that used to be a person, a long time ago, who got left at that pump and never figured out how to leave. It doesn't want to hurt you. It wants you to walk out there and get in the car with it. That's all it's ever wanted. So don't." Marcus locked the door. He killed the pump. He sat behind the counter with his back to the window for the rest of the shift, listening to the low idle of an engine that had no reason to still be running, and telling himself the tapping sound against the glass at 3 a.m. was just a branch. When he finally allowed himself to look, just before dawn, the space at Pump 4 was empty. No tire tracks in the gravel. No sign a car had ever been there at all. He gave his 2 weeks' notice the next morning. On his last night, he left an index card in the register drawer, 3 rules written in blue ink, right below Dale's.
Mile marker 214. Sarah drove trucks for a living, had done it for 6 years, and she prided herself on not being the kind of driver who spooked easily. Long-haul trucking wasn't for people who jumped at shadows. You learned to sleep through storms, through the shudder of 18 wheels on bad asphalt, through the particular loneliness of being the only headlights on a road for 200 miles. But she never forgot the gas station at mile marker 214. It was a pilot station in the high desert of Nevada, the kind of place that existed purely because the distance between civilization on either side was too far for a fuel tank to cover in one go. She'd stopped there dozens of times over the years, always fine, always ordinary. Bad coffee, flickering fluorescent lights, a clerk who never seemed to be the same person twice. The night it went wrong, she'd pulled in around midnight, running on 4 hours of sleep and a deadline that had her rattled. She fueled up, went inside for coffee, and noticed the station was busier than she expected for that hour. 3 other trucks in the lot, engines idling, but no drivers inside. She thought nothing of it. Truckers slept in their cabs all the time. The clerk, an older man with tired eyes, rang up her coffee without a word. As she turned to leave, he said, quiet enough that she almost missed it, "You parked next to the blue Peterbilt." "Yeah, why?" "Move your truck. Doesn't matter where. Just not next to that one." She should have asked why. Instead, tired and irritated, she said something about not needing directions from a gas station clerk and walked out. She noticed the blue Peterbilt properly for the first time as she climbed back into her cab. It was parked close, maybe 8 feet away, engine running, cab dark, no driver silhouette, no sound but the low diesel rumble. She told herself the driver was asleep in the sleeper berth, out of sight, and left it at that. She managed maybe 20 minutes of rest before the knocking started. 3 slow knocks against her passenger door, evenly spaced, patient. She sat up, heart going hard, and looked through the window. Nothing there. No one standing at the door. The lot outside was empty except for the trucks, and the Peterbilt's cab light had switched on, illuminating an interior that was, as far as she could tell in the dark, completely empty. No seats even, just a hollowed-out cab lit from somewhere she couldn't identify. The knocking came again, this time from the driver's side. She started the engine and pulled out without checking her mirrors properly, without finishing her coffee, without looking back at the Peterbilt at all. She drove 40 miles before she trusted her hands enough to call dispatch and ask, as casually as she could manage, whether anyone had ever mentioned anything strange about mile marker 214. The dispatcher, a woman who'd been doing the job for 20 years, went quiet for a second too long. "You stop there tonight?" "Yeah." "Doesn't matter where you park next time. Just don't stop there after midnight if you can help it. We've had a few reports. Nothing anyone can explain. Just don't stop after midnight." Sarah still runs that route. She still stops in mile marker 214 because the fuel math commands it sometimes, but she's never stopped there again after dark, and she never will.
The Family at Whitlock Gas and Go. The Ferris family hadn't planned to stop in Whitlock at all. It was supposed to be a straight 10-hour drive from Ohio to the Smoky Mountains, the kind of trip Dan and Rebecca had done a dozen times before the kids were born, and had built up in their heads as a tradition worth repeating, now that Emma was 7 and Toby was 5. But the check engine light had come on somewhere past the Kentucky border, and the nearest anything was a lonely stretch of 2-pump gas station attached to a general store, the kind of place that still sold live bait next to the beef jerky. The attendant, a heavy-set man in his 60s, who introduced himself only as Whit, took one look under the hood and told them it wasn't safe to keep driving. He had a cousin who could look at it in the morning. There was a motel 2 miles up the road, but it was late. The kids were asleep in the back seat, and Rebecca, practical as always, said they'd just sleep in the car in the station's lot rather than wake the children twice in one night. Whit didn't love the idea. He said so plainly, in the flat way people from small towns say things they've decided not to argue about. "Wouldn't do that if I were you. Not here." When Dan pressed him, he only said the lot got strange after dark and left it there, locking up the store and driving off in a truck that coughed blue smoke the whole way down the road. Dan laughed it off to Rebecca. "Small towns," he said. "Everybody's got a ghost story about the local gas station." They cracked the windows, reclined the seats as far as they'd go, and tried to sleep. Emma woke first, a little after 1 a.m., tugging on her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, there's a man by the pumps." Rebecca sat up, groggy, and looked. There was indeed a man standing near pump 2, not moving, not doing anything, just standing, facing the store, hands at his sides. He was too far away and the light too poor to make out his face, but something about his stillness set off every instinct Rebecca had. People didn't stand like that. Even waiting for something, people shifted their weight, checked their phones, looked around. He did none of that. "Probably just someone's car broke down too," Dan murmured, though he didn't sound convinced, and he didn't get out to check. The man was still there 20 minutes later, still facing the store, still not moving. Toby woke up crying, the kind of instinctive fear crying that has no clear trigger, and in the scramble to soothe him, Rebecca looked back toward pump 2 and found the man was gone. Not walked away, gone. The space empty in the time it had taken to turn her head. They didn't sleep after that. Dan started the engine, useless check engine like glowing amber on the dash, and drove the 2 miles to the motel anyway, deciding a stalled engine on the shoulder was a better risk than another hour in that lot. They made it without incident. In the morning, Whit's cousin fixed the car in 40 minutes, a loose sensor wire, nothing serious. Dan mentioned the man by the pumps, trying to keep his tone light. The cousin didn't laugh. He just said that Whit's station had been built on the side of an older one torn down decades back, and that the previous owner had died out there alone one winter night when his truck wouldn't start and nobody came. Nobody was sure exactly what he'd been waiting for when he died. Some said it was for someone, anyone, to stop and help him. They said he was still waiting. The Ferrises made it to the Smokies a day later than planned. They never took that route through Kentucky again, even though it was the fastest way home.